Good afternoon, Leanne here, intuitive personal empowerment consultant. Let me move the arrow off. You can't see it, but I can. Okay, I'm going to tell you a little story. There's a particular lady, and she went out with a guy for a few months, just a few months. And quite a while back, the relationship ended. It didn't end mutually. It wasn't right, okay, you and I just go our different ways. It ended. And she wasn't sure why it ended. And so she's continued to focus on it and focus on it and focus on it. Every now and then, the man in question will phone up, get in touch, send a text, what have you, but always keeping her at arm's length. Now, this lady can't let it go. And this lady says that no matter what he does, no matter what he says, I am going to hang on. He is the love of my life. Terms like, for example, and I've heard this many times, by the way, unconditional love. I love this person no matter what he does to me. Now, there is, I believe, and this is just me, this is just the way I see things, only one form of unconditional love. And even then, it doesn't exist in every case. So most parents love their children unconditionally. And actually, a lot of pet owners, I'm going to add something to that. A lot of pet owners love their pets unconditionally. But every other form of love is conditional. Not even love for our parents, and not love for our partners, not love for our friends. It is largely unconditional. We can be as idealistic as we like. And we can kind of love people out of duty. I love you because you're my blood relative, but I don't like you. So that's not unconditional love, is it? And it's human. So I'm not dissing the idea of unconditional love. I'm kind of dissing the idea of idealistic thinking where love is concerned, because it actually ends up leading to pain. So anyway, if somebody has been somebody, and it might be a handful of months, it might be years, and then, they split. And there are reasons people split. And there may be more reasons on one side than on the other. That is true. And it's always painful. Of course, it's painful. Now, where I enter into this is as a professional, intuitive, personal empowerment consultant. My job is to help people find a way forwards towards their own greater potential. So I will often find myself with communicating with somebody. Sometimes it's a man, but mostly it's women, and they're asking about their exes. I have given literally thousands of relationship consultations over the years. And a huge portion of those are people asking about their exes. Bigger than anybody asking about, their general love life. That's fascinated me. And again, it's just a fact of life. And some of these people, they already know that, they're not really going anywhere with their ex. They understand all of that. Maybe they just for that moment in time, they just kind of want to chew it over. But there are others who are maybe being a wee bit crazy. And maybe they know deep down inside they're being a wee bit crazy. And then that hurts even more, doesn't it? When I know I'm being mad here. I know I'm being insane here. This stuff keeps going through my head. Why? Other times people just don't know they're being crazy at all. So I understand that we're at where we're at when we're there. Okay. And when we're ready to move on, and we may never be ready to move on, we may even grow old and die hanging on to this stuff. And, it's our life. We can do it if we want to. But a lot of other people will reach a point where they move on. And so when we're ready, genuinely ready, because a lot of what comes out of people's mouths is not true. Okay. And that's been true of me over the years as well. It's not that we're lying as such. It's just that we're projecting something to the outer world. But what's going on in here and in here is completely different. And I've decided to make this video because this is such a common occurrence. And there's another reason as well, which is a selfish and personal reason, but I'll come to that in a minute. Now, if a relationship's ended and there was turmoil, we were really happy for a short period of time, then it all went wrong, and then all of a sudden he left me. Or it could also be I met this person, we were in contact for a little while, and then all of a sudden he's back down. But we felt a connection. There was a connection. And so I've tried to work out why it is that people keep hanging on. Now, from a professional point of view, I've had many instances in which women have asked for a consultation. And I presume they've read my website, they've heard the negative comments on and the positive comments on psychic forums. They've seen my testimonials on whether, I think, well, maybe I hope they've done their research before they book me, because that makes sense, doesn't it? So you know what you're getting into. So they know that my work is about, yes, I offer predictions, I offer guidance, and it's about forward movement, personal empowerment. But you'll be surprised how many people actually all they want to do is keep talking about their ex. That's all they want to do. No matter what you tell them, no matter what you say, it's like, brushwood rolling across, because they've gone blank on anything else other than their ex. And even though you've said, look, this is a prediction, I cannot see you in a mutually supportive, healthy, loving relationship with this person in the bigger picture. It's just not going to happen. And I can speak with confidence. I'm not God. I don't get everything right. But largely speaking, I have got good coaching skills and very good intuitive skills. And I have got a very good track record for long-term accurate prediction. But it's based on guidance. It's based on insights, not just random prediction. So look, this person doesn't love you. They don't love you. It's not your fault. It's not personal. It's nothing to do with you. It's to do with them. It's whatever's going on within their heart. Maybe they have problems with commitment. There's one recent case in which I could clearly see intuitively that the guy in question had issues with women. Oh, he was going out with women, but somewhere within him, he was carrying some bitterness linked to an ex, and he was never going to let a woman get anywhere beyond this point. Here's the point. And I'm going to be nice and charming and wonderful and loving because, I can be, and because I've got some positive qualities, but I'm going to keep cutting you off. I'm going to step back. I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm going to communicate with other women, but I'm going to stay in touch with you. I'm going to keep you hanging on. Now, that's to do with the guy in question. That's his issue. That's his own psychological programming, okay? Now, the woman then is months, even a year down the line, whatever it is then still hanging on to these communications and analysing each one. And then what a lot of, not all, but a number of exes have asked me over the years, I want to know about his new partner. Does he love her? Is he going to be with her forever? And then I will say, listen, I understand where you're coming from. However, we've already established that this man is not a part of your future. There's no real happiness lies here. You're not going to find the love and support you want, you need, you're worthy of in this situation. And so therefore, it doesn't really matter whether he loves her or not. Now, you might say, well, of course it matters because this person is hurting, because psychologically they're in pain. But I'm an intuitive personal empowerment consultant. I'm not a psychotherapist. I do offer guidance. I have learned to feed counseling skills through it, encouragement. But, my service is not to spend an entire consultation picking over the bones of the ex who's not going to be a part of the future, is never going to bring this person happiness, is never going to love them. Okay. So all I'm saying is that sometimes we can end up going down the pathway of craziness, and hopefully it's just temporary. And believe you me, if you'd seen some of the things I've done with my life, your hair would turn white. But I'm just speaking from the point of view of, look, this is where you are today and you're hurting. But all the signs are there. People don't even have to be intuitive to be able to see that this is not love. This is not love. Okay, this is something else. It's codependence, it's need. There's a huge amount of fear of rejection, the pain of rejection below this kind of behavior at a psychological level. Now, I have explained that to women sometimes, and they have kicked back at me in absolute denial. No, you don't understand. In this case, it really is love. I love him unconditionally, or it doesn't matter what he does, I will always love him. I will never let this man down. I will never give up on him. That's absolutely fine, but I can't help you. I can't help you. It's not in line with the service I offer. It's not in line with my business. So I can only assume that when people are in an extreme case of X agony, that when they have a consultation, there's one of two things. They just want to pick over the bones of the situation. It's on their mind all the time, and they want to take it out into the world and share it with others, and they're willing to pay to do that. And secondly, they're hoping that I will say, do you know what? Oh, he really loves you. He really loves you. And he's going to be back on your doorstep tomorrow, and you will live happily ever after. So it's going to be one of those two things, probably both. Now, consciously, they're going to deny that and say, no, that's not true. I just was curious. I just wanted to know. But the way they talk and the way they behave shows that I'm probably right. And again, that's absolutely fine. We have to be where we're at when we're at there. But, one of the problems I've run into personally is whenever I do get conflict with customers, and, please don't think it happens all the time, because it doesn't. But, we have to be aware of it in our business. When something goes pear-shaped, or somebody's making public declarations against us online, even if 100 people have said great stuff and one person goes and does something negative, obviously we're going to think about it. We're going to give it consideration. In this instance, women who are in the crazy state are a little dangerous to my business. And I'm sure, I know others that have had the same thing, because one part of them knows what you're saying is right, and they're angry about that. They're angry with you. They're angry with me because I'm pretty straight spoken. I try and be patient, but at the end of the day, when we've gone over the same thing about 20 times, and I say, listen, we've discussed this. We're talking about where you're going. We're talking about your future now. Oh yeah, Bert, can you just tell me? No, we're not keep going back to your ex. I've already told you this person is not a part of your future. You've booked me to help you go forwards. That's what I do. I use my intuitive skills to warn you what will hold you back, what will get in your way, and to explain to you what will enhance you, what will help you. If you change this, this is a pathway waiting for you. And here's another thing, you see, is that, sometimes these ladies will say, well, can you tell me who else I'm going to meet? Will I ever get married? Will I settle down? Well, yes, but not in the place you're in right now. We can't have it both ways. We can't have our head and our heart and our mind and our thinking filled with this stuff and put out the energy to the great force of life that we're open for a mutually supportive, healthy relationship. I'm going to cough, excuse me. Have a sip of my going cold tea. Right. Do you understand? So, if we're going to be crazy, that's fine. We're all entitled to be crazy throughout our life periodically. And then hopefully what we do is we move through the crazy and onto the next level. Yeah. And if we're genuinely open to the idea of being in a loving relationship with somebody who thinks we're great, somebody who's not perfect, we're going to squabble with them, but they want to be with us. They want to be with us. They want to share things with us, want to share our life with us. We have to be in the place where we can put that message out, and where we can attract that person to us and vice versa. Just wanting a relationship isn't enough. If there is things that need to be sorted out, healed and resolved, then we have to be honest enough to be aware of it and just do what needs to be done, bit by bit, step by step. And out there in the world, there will be somebody who is great for us, who will love us, but we have to be in the right place where our transmissions can connect. And we can't do that whilst we're asking why. And I've often had to say to women, look, you can drive yourself insane asking why. But there are answers that can't be given because they don't exist. Not in the way that we want them to. So we might want a logical, reasonable explanation as to why you left me and then why you continue to keep in touch with me whilst seeing somebody else and getting on with your life. But you see, that person can't give you a logical, reasonable answer that you will accept because they're doing it for their own reasons. And they're not going to say to you, well, to be honest with you, whatever it is, I kind of liked you, the sex was great, I liked you for a while, or I got bored with you, or I found you too much, or I just didn't want commitment. I just wanted to be free. And the reason I'm hanging on here is because I'm a bit of a control freak and I don't quite want to let go of you because I like the fact that you're still hooked on me. They're not going to come out and say that stuff because it sounds bloody awful. And so they're not going to admit it. So they're going to lie or deflect or evade. So you will never get an answer that makes sense to you. Do you understand? And so that's what we have to remember. There are some questions that will never be answered because if they were answered, it would mean somebody would have to be incredibly, completely honest, and they're not going to do it because it's going to put them in a very bad light. And so we're going to be worse off with the answer. Well, I don't know. Maybe we'd be better off with the answer. Maybe if somebody did say, well, look, I thought you were great for a few months. We had great sex. We had a good time, but I wasn't ready for commitment. I still want to be free. I still want to do what I want to do. No woman is going to tie me down and get commitment from me, but I'm going to hang on to you just long enough while it interests me, while I get something from it before I finally just dump you completely because it suits me. Now, if they were to say that, then maybe it would be a bit like being hit in the face, but maybe it would be easier then for a person to move on. Maybe it would be a good thing. Maybe the actual reality of the situation would be the wake-up call. I suppose the phone calls in the middle of the night, the text, the flirty, the suggestive messages, the every now and then out of the blue, hi, how are you messages, they just keep people hanging on. It's cruel. It's mean. It's not functional. And what can I do? Nothing. So, on the odd occasions, I've been able to say to somebody, well, yeah, you and your ex, you do care. There's wrong and right on both sides. I think you can sort this out, but you've both just got to be able to communicate. And so I do think that if you do A, B, C, and D, I think you can make it work. And this is what I'm seeing. But in a lot of other cases, and it makes sense, if you think about it statistically, it makes sense because if a person is having a consultation about a relationship, a particular relationship, not just about general love, when am I going to meet somebody sort of thing, if it's about a particular relationship, there are obviously doubts or problems, which is why they're having the consultation, because billions of people on the planet have relationships and they don't all have consultations about the relationships. So again, I'm not dissing it, but I'm just being logical here that statistically, there's a high percentage of, the questions about existing relationships or exes that are going to meet with stuff that people don't want to hear. And I have so many times over the years, women have come back to me and said to me, I really was in a mad place at the time. I didn't want to hear anything you were saying. I was in a dark place. I can't believe I was in that place. I can't believe it was me. I have finally listened and I have moved on. So people do move on. People do get out of crazy land, mostly. There was one particular customer who, I can't even remember her name. I wouldn't even give it even if I did. It was a while ago. But eventually, when she paid me through PayPal, I would refund her money very politely and say, we have covered this. You've asked me this many, many times over a number of years, and you keep coming back and asking the same thing. And it was always about the same man who wasn't in her life, and she was convinced he was going to come back, and she'd been told by other readers he would. And then the last time we had a communication, she said, I don't care. I will never, ever, 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 ever give up on this man, ever. Absolutely fine, but I can't help her. And it's low energy. I don't want to work low energy all the time. I know when people come to me, they've got issues and problems. That's the nature of the work. So, that's fine. But there are certain circumstances that they just are so low energy and they're never going to be anything other than low energy. And I don't want to go there. I don't want to repeat the same stuff. I don't want to the same person. I don't want to keep looking at the same issue again and again and again. It is really low energy and I wish them well, but I can't help them. And so, in a lot of cases, the problems that caused people to fall apart, and some of those problems were pretty big ones, they weren't just, oh, we didn't, one like margarine and one like butter. We're not talking about anything like that. Pretty big stuff. It hasn't been resolved. It hasn't been resolved. So I think one of the reasons that people will suddenly fixate on an ex, or suddenly maybe they were doing okay and then all of a sudden they hear something about the ex, or the ex gets in touch. I think it's because maybe they're at a loose end somewhere. Maybe they're just at that place in their life where they're wondering what to do next, where to go next, and maybe that's what it is. Maybe that situation with the ex has dragged up lots of pain from the past that was lurking around inside of us unnoticed, but now it's come to the fore. But it's always a chance to examine our life and ask ourselves where we're at. So there's no shame in going over stuff. There's no shame in thinking about relationships that have been important to us. But what we need to just do is double check we aren't being long-term crazy, because we're preventing ourselves from moving on and having the life we want. And, as I say, from my selfish personal point of view, if anyone's going to give me crap or kick against, it's two things. It's usually, mostly always, to do with love and exes. And it's also because maybe, well, three things really. They haven't heard what they wanted to, because I'm not God. I don't create the future. I'm not creating it, and I don't have any control over the timing in which things happen. So if somebody gets back to me and says, oh, so you've told me I'm not going to meet the man of my dreams for another 12 months. Well, I'm disappointed now. I can't, I want to meet somebody now, but I don't have any power there. It's not my issue. I wish you the best of luck. But what am I to say to that? Because, it is a criticism. It is a criticism. It's a, you've upset me. You've not done the job. You've not done it right, because this is what I wanted to hear. Nothing I can do about it. Just get on with it. In that, to be honest with you anyway, if this person does or doesn't do anything, another year will pass. They will still be a year older in another year. So they might as well use that year wisely and not waste it. And, if we're still maybe of a mindset where, it's not really going to be conducive to actually developing a really loving, mutually supportive relationship, if we're not, our inner world is not aligned with that yet, then we can use that time ahead to become more aligned. There's no need to get cross. There's no need to get reactive. There's no need to get defensive. Be proactive. Use the information wisely to empower yourself. Don't waste time defending, criticizing, hitting back. Just breathe, be where you are, feel the pain, acknowledge it, but say, okay, I'm going to use this for my own good. And so, yeah, the people who are in crazy mode can be a little dangerous. I'm still in business 20 odd years down the line. I've not been crushed out of business, but it doesn't help. It doesn't help. Obviously, it doesn't help. But what can you do about it? That you can't do anything. And this video isn't about that. It isn't about, oh, how dare people do that to me? It's really about, where we're at when we're in that place, when we're in that pain. And can we be realistic? Can we help ourselves and be realistic? Idealistic tosh. We have to be careful that we're not buying into idealistic tosh. I love people in my life. I'm not particularly romantic in terms of moonlight and roses and all this sort of stuff. I think in my own life, and B, I've been in this work too long. I think, that's probably squeezed every ounce of romantic notion out of me I ever had. But to me, love and togetherness and friendship is way more important, and it takes a lot of time to develop that. The initial honeymoon period is not love. Attraction is not love, but it's the beginning, okay? It's the beginning of potentially the beginning of love. Because once the honeymoon period is gone, whether it's 2 weeks, a month, 6 months, we will know whether or not this now is a situation that will continue to evolve and grow. And sometimes beyond the honeymoon period, there is nothing. It was what it was. Other times, yeah, but then it's got to change shape and form. And that's the thing with relationships. They have to change shape and form. And so we will always move on. We have the power to move on. So we're hurt. So, we were involved with somebody and we cared about them, but we knew deep down inside something wasn't quite right, because usually that is present. Then they just go and end it and we become powerless. And the pain of rejection eats away at us. And even if we're not consciously recognizing it, that is what's happening. And so, excuse me. So what we do again is we cover that up by talking about love, because we don't want to face the fact that we feel raw, that we feel rejected. So if we can turn it into something else, it becomes more palatable. But if we're going to go out and have a consultation on the subject of an ex, please let us be genuinely open. Let us not start with a major agenda and be closed to everything else, because otherwise, excuse me, spitting again, otherwise it is completely pointless. It is pointless. And there are people out there who offer the service where they will allow you to just talk about their ex and they'll sympathise with you and they'll butter you up. Now, if that's the service you want, that's valid. That's absolutely fine. It's not the service I offer. I'm interested in where you can go. And if you want to meet somebody who's going to love you, who's going to think you're the best thing since sliced bread, who's not going to cause you to feel this pain, then you have to get out of the crazy and onto the next level. So I've tried to not sound as if I'm judging people or dissing them, but it is a biggie. It is a biggie. And sometimes, when you're entering into the situation, I'll be honest, it's easy for my defenses to come up. It is. And I have to work on that when I'm dealing with somebody and I can feel the resistance. I can feel them kicking back. I can see them going, yes, but, yes, but, yes, but, yes, but. It's hard because you're trying to do your job and you can't do it because they're blocking you. And then after that, then of course you say, right, enough. I'm going to be firm with you now. I've told you this. We've gone over this. This is the bottom line. So then you're going to be in trouble. For, telling them that maybe they need to get out of that place. Well, they do definitely need to get out of that place, that ex is not a part of the future. And you're going to be in trouble because you're being tough with them. And I don't know, am I going to be in trouble for anything else? I don't know. Those are the two major things. And I want to do my job. I love intuitive work. I love working with people. But I don't want to get caught up in that negative jelly of, I hear everything you're telling me, but this is my soulmate and the only man I live for. I don't care what he does for me. That's absolutely great. But why come to me then? There's no point in coming to me. And as much as I need business, because I am in business, this is how I fund my life, I have to look at the limitations. And I have to be true to the service I offer that I've developed over the years. I have to be true to my own values and standards and ethics, professionally speaking. So I can help people and I want to help people. But the good thing is everybody has a recording. So if they're of a mind to listen to it periodically and further down the line, when they come out the crazy, they can go, do you know what? Oh God, yeah. I understand what you're saying now. That's where I was at. And I think that's absolutely fine. Okay. But at least if you're in that position, just try and remember that time will pass. You won't always feel the way you do now. So try not to lash out at other people who don't tell you the story you want to hear. I think that's fair enough, isn't it? Okay then. Nice to talk to you. Take care. Bye.